Hey, welcome, guys. Welcome to Just Another Conversation. I'm your host, Mr. Unspeakable. Well, first, cheers to all of you mofos out there who might love me, who might hate me. Who cares? I'm going to keep going with the stories. Most of them true. Some not so true, but I would say 90% true and the 10% just for you improvised. But before I begin, I have a sip of this beautiful juice right here in this bottle. And I will definitely try to have a sip before I continue. Like I said before, I was talking yesterday about a very first time I have actually experienced what many people would say. You know, when they say the soul is leaving your body, like literally, and they show you these videos on YouTube of people and their soul leaving their body. Is it possible for that to happen? I have felt like it for sure more than once. And the story yesterday about my very first time when I've discovered what anxiety can really do to a human being. And I have run into a lot of people who, throughout my life and my struggle with this, would say things like, and they would, the people would sit next to me in the car, and I would talk about, panic attacks, what it does to people, and PTSD, and what is it like for people that actually went through a war and what they experienced 20 years later. And there's that person that sits next to you the whole time. It could be your best friend, it could be your mother, it could be your wife, it could be your son, your father. But regardless, the people that you trust the most, you expect them to understand you fully. And that's something that I personally have been relying on for the most of my life. I've always thought, hey, if things go fucking sideways, I can always rely on those close to me, right? And I was able to before my dad passed away. I was able to kind of lean my shoulder, to one side and lean on him. Um, Most of the times, I lean on myself. Uh, I blame myself for a lot of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in my life. To having dreams of becoming a rock star, to you know, uh, feel and think that I am literally untouchable. When you're at that age, somewhere between 17 and 20 something years old, when you just feel like you're fucking untouchable and you can do just about anything. Fucking anything. I mean, there was times in my life I've done so many fucking drugs that I thought I can lift a goddamn bus. And I've done drugs in my life, many. And I don't know whether to say if that's actually in certain moments and times of my life of ruin, if that had actually improved my life at some point, at some time, did drugs actually help me through my tough times in life? Yeah. Um, you know, I've always been I have a brother who he's been one of those guys, you know what I mean? Like play sports, uh, never touched a beer, never smoked a cigarette, never smoked weed. Um, not always the most honest guy. Not the most reliable person. He definitely isn't. But he was one of those guys where if you wanted to stay clean, like he would be like your best option to stick with. I mean, he can have a six pack in his beer. I remember go visiting him, and there'll be six packs of beer sitting in his fridge, and it would last him literally for a month. I would come back next month, and that same six pack of beer will sit there, and I just come and visit. And I'm like, "Hey, brother, what are you doing? What are you gonna do with this beer?" He goes, "Ah, it just sits there in my fridge. If I feel like having one." I was like, "Dude, you don't drink." So I would just show up to his house, and I would drink all his beer. He would literally go to. This is how fucking much I drank, to the point where my brother would go to the bathroom. He would have to six pack to a 12 pack in the fridge. It would sit, and he would probably have it there because he knows once in a while I'll come visit. That was back then when he was living in New Jersey, and I was still young. That was before I started doing the hardcore shit. There was only at times when I was drinking beer. Okay, but I drank a lot of beer in my 20s. But I would come visit him in New Jersey. He was dating some African American lady, and oh man, this fucking girl was total nutcase. She fucking ripped his furniture with a knife because she found a bunch of pornography in his closet, and they were about to get married. I mean, they had plans to get married. Let's just say that, right? But anyways, besides that, I would go visit him. He was a sports type, you know what I mean? Played volleyball professionally back in Europe, and never touched a beer, never did any drugs. Always had a good advice. He's kind of an asshole, Back then, he presented himself to be a picture. They used to just kind of look at him and say, "Well, brother, you're just a picture. You're not the original picture. You're just a copy." Um, and he says, "Brother, what do you want?" I'm like, "I'm just visiting. I'm just visiting." So he would go and use the bathroom, and this is how much I drank at the time. He'd go to the bathroom, and by the time he got out, I would already drink a six pack. I mean, I'm not talking minutes, but he would be there. I don't know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. I don't know if I'm sure there's people out there who are addicted to alcohol. They could probably beat me to it when I was in my 20s, but I and then I feel like that was like one of those moments where me and my brother really like, oh man, I don't know. Yeah, no, no, actually, I never did meth, man, but I did do like a lot. Do you guys remember some of those? They used to have those like blue Vicodins. They used to call them robin eggs. From you, for those of you, and this is not the videos for the kids. I'm just saying for the safety of it. But kids don't do drugs. That's all I gotta say because it really fucks you up. Hey, how's it going, man? But no, you're from Argentina? Yeah, I'm from Yugoslavia. But anyways, so like I said, I'm talking about how my drug addiction and my alcohol has actually what kind of impression it has left on my family. Like I have, oh man, there's so much I want to fucking say. Anyways, so by the time my brother would come out of the bathroom, I would be finished with his six pack of beer. And he would come out and he'll ask me, "Hey man, you want a beer?" And I'm like, "Dude, I already drank your fucking beer." And he's just like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, look at it. There's an empty fucking six pack there." You and he never even knew that I drank before then. But I that was those were the times I only smoked weed. here and there, and I drank beer. Nothing really hardcore yet, not yet. But I felt like I don't even know if I was ever really close to my fucking brother because like he was one of those guys that when we were kids, he's one of those dudes that if your mother and father tell you, hey, don't hang out with these people or those people because they're gonna ruin your life, and you're gonna say, hey, I want to hang out with whoever the fuck I want to hang out with, he would be one of those guys that he would follow you around and he would say, hey, I'll tell my mom, I'll tell your mom, I'll tell dad, whatever you did today or yesterday or whatever the fuck was it that I did, right? He was one of those dudes, he would tell on me all the time. And then I would come home and I'd get beating from my dad and I'd get beating from my mom, and it wasn't like a beating like, hey, slap, slap. I'd get fucking real beating, man. I'm talking like, uh, my dad, and I love my fucking dad, man. He was the greatest. I just I love him. I miss him. He's gone. But he used to have this military belt. I can remember it like it was yesterday. It was this made in Soviet Union um, military belt. It's maybe about an eighth, or I would say probably thicker than an eighth of an inch. And I remember coming home around like 8:30 at night, and he would stay right in front of the door. I'm trying to walk into the house, and he'd stay right in front of me, and he'd say, "Where were you?" And I say, "My friends." Uh, didn't I tell you to come home at 9 o'clock? It's 9:15. I said, "Yes, Dad, you did tell me." He says, "Come closer." I said, "Dad, come on, not right now." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. That's okay. Just come closer. I didn't hear what you said." And I just come a little closer, and I come closer. And my dad had this big, heavy hand. I mean, my hands are big. I got a big fucking face, but look at my fucking hand. My dad's hands were bigger. And he would just, out of nowhere, he would hit me like, boom. And that hand he had a heavy hand, man. It fucking hit me. And I would just stand there and I'm not allowed to cry. I'm not allowed to say anything. And I just say, I'm sorry, Dad, it is late. I'm 15 minutes late. All right, get in your room, kind of thing. And just as I turn around to walk through the hallway, there's a long hallway before you hit the bathroom, and then you make a left and you go into the living room in our old place before the war. But I just remember him literally adding to it. Like he would hit me with a hand almost one and a half size of mine, as hard as possible. And then as I was trying to walk to the hallway, he would hit me with his leg, and he would hit me so hard that I would literally fly through the fucking hallway. And that's just how I was raised. That was the way my parents raised me. Like, they love me. I had everything. If I want to say my childhood, can I complain and say my childhood was shitty? I don't know what to say. I've been through a war. Is that a shitty thing? Yes. I mean, I've had guns pointing in my head many times through the checkpoints. I've seen brains blown away. I've seen an old lady get run over by a tank. I've seen this guy get off the bus when I was in Denmark in a refugee camp. And then this bus pulls up. I was hanging out with my friends at this other refugee camp in Sweden. And they've built this small like a camp in Denmark um, for just the injured soldiers, and the whole bus full of injured soldiers from Bosnia. And this is you're talking '93, somewhere in spring of '93, and these guys. I remember a particular guy that was put down from the bus. He was in a wheelchair. He didn't have any legs. He didn't have any arms. He didn't have one eye. He could only see on one eye. But he missed. He says he got blown up by a grenade. Super nice guy, and he just was right in front of me. I started talking to him. I said, hey, what happened? He's like, hey, I got blown up by a tank grenade and I'm still lucky to be alive. And the guy is so thankful. He's like, man, I'm so thankful to be alive. I'm just thinking to myself, man, this guy's got some kahunas, man. Like, no legs, no arms, no eye. Got blown up by a grenade. And I'm still young at the time, 15. You know, this guy was probably in his 40s. From what it looked like to me, he was kind of bald, but a little bit gray. He said, "Hey man, I like you to be here, you know." And I gave him a hug, and I was just like, "Man, what was that fucking war for?" You know what I'm saying? It just that war in Bosnia, it really didn't make any sense. None of it. But anyways, to continue, like my relation with my brother, because of my first of my alcohol addiction that I've had. Although our relationship was never perfect, but there was a mutual respect there between me and him. Although he was a good dude that never drank, never touched drugs, played sports, he was one of the best at volleyball. I mean, this guy was probably, say, top 20 in the country at the time. You know, that was in the 90s in Yugoslavia. But when I showed him the very first time I went to visit him in his apartment, he was about to get married to this black girl. He had this thing for black girls. I have no idea what it was with my brother, but he had the thing with the black girl for the black girls. But he goes, "Yeah, I want to give you a beer." And I said, "No, man, I've drank all your beer already. You need to go buy some more beer." And he's like, "Wow." He says to me, he goes, "Man, you're an alcoholic." And I said, "Get out of here, dude. What are you talking about? I'm like, what, 20 years old? I'm an alcoholic. What the fuck are you talking about?" Um, I like from that day, I don't think that my relationship with my brother was ever good, and it's so bad now that I haven't heard from him in a couple of years. And I don't know if you should punish people because they have an addiction. You know what I'm saying? And I don't really think at that time I was really that bad of an addict. I did drink a lot. I mean, fuck. Like, I don't know, name me a 20-year-old here in the United States who really didn't drink. I mean, back if you drink a whole six pack of beer in less than 10 minutes, 15 minutes, that's pretty much what it took me back in the days. A six pack I can drink in about 10 minutes. It depends faster. If you give me pills, I'll drink it even faster. So that was kind of like the beginning of my ruin, you know, of my life, where like my brother kind of saw me differently because I drank. And in my, it was always supposed to be opposite in my family. I was supposed to be the good one. My brother was supposed to be the outcast or whatever. He was supposed to be the outside child, do whatever kind of child. You know what I'm saying? But instead of that, I became that child. You know what I'm saying? Like the black sheep, that person that no matter what you told him and no matter how good of advice you're giving to him, he's always done whatever he wanted to. And that's kind of like what I did. I always listened, but I always did what I wanted to do. And I blame myself for it. I don't have anybody else to fucking blame, you know? Um, and then when you talk about like my other side of the family, my grandparents were the sweetest people, man. Like my grandmother was, she was a teacher um, from Šibenik, Croatia, I believe. She always, I remember she always used to give me advice. She's the one that taught me how to fucking write the very first time, like write and she taught German, French, I believe, and one more language. I know she spoke three languages fluently, my grandmother, on my dad's side. And she was a teacher. And I just remember like it was yesterday how she literally how she taught me how to read. You know, it was a newspaper. called freedom. You know? And she's like, oh, well, this is how you say this letter, and this is how you write this letter. And then remember, like it was just a great woman, you know. But she always used to tell me, she says, son, she used to call me Sonny, Sonny, I think. She'll say, there's many students that I've had who have ended up homeless, you know, who never listened to my advice and ended up digging trenches for living and doing all these things for living. They're not up to standards to other people, like, hey, if you don't finish school or graduate to be a, I don't know, a doctor or a surgeon, or if you don't go to, if you don't graduate from college, everybody's going to look at you like you're a loser. Everybody's going to look at you like you're, I don't know, not worthy, whatever the fuck that means. But my grandma will always say that, yes, yes, Sonny, you gotta learn how to speak. I was like, what, 7, 8 years old, 9, I still remember. And I was like, yes, grandma, I understand what you're trying to say. If I don't go to school, you're saying I'm gonna be a loser for the rest of my life. She's like, yes. I said, okay, I'll go to school. And I did. I went to school. I went to school all the way, I have to say, until the war started in 1992. I was seventh grade. And then when I went through military checkpoints and I went to the Red Cross, it's a long story, but I'm just making it kind of short now. But I've continued my education throughout my life. I went to high school. Oh, I was trying to go to high school in Europe at that time in the 90s. My dad wanted me to go to school and become like an engineer like he was. And I did. I signed up to be an engineer. Um, Mašinsko tech, kako se zove? Uh, Mašinski tehničar, which means uh, it's like hydraulic engineer. Hydraulic engineering. That's what my dad was. He was a fucking. He was the man, the king of hydraulics. My dad, anything hydraulic, he can freaking fix it. I mean, anything. And he said, "Son, it'll be the best for you to go to become an engineer." I said, "Yeah, sure." We got to after we escaped from the war, we got to this school. Now I'm not talking about my addiction right now. I'm just gonna talk about like my earlier life, but then later how I turned to an addiction, and many things leading up to it, and now even. And I just want to say, don't judge people because they're addicted to something. You know what I'm saying? Like, I hear people on YouTube and on the TV will use these terms like junkie and drug addict and worthless alcoholic. Just terrible. It's just terrible to call people those names. You don't even know what they are all about. You don't know what people what you don't even know what these people have been through to have to become what they have become. And that's not even the end of the road. They still got more and more road ahead of them, and then you're calling them an alcoholic and drug addict, and you're calling them junkie. This is one thing that really sets me off. It's the word junkie. Uh, just because I know I've met many great people throughout my life who were addicts, who were just um, and then I know a lot of people who were addicts who were not such great people. Um, but I could say for sure one thing. From beer to Coca Cola. And it's not like this shit's good for you neither. Sorry, kids, or whoever it is. a little bit of swearing here and there. That's in my DNA, I guess. But the word junkie sets me off. And like I said, I've met many great people, some of the greatest people ever. And I could say there were some really bad ones and some really good ones. Nice, honest. They'll do whatever. They will stop whatever the hell they're doing to help you, kind of person. They'll take that, as they say, a shirt off their back to help you. You know what I'm saying? But I could for sure tell you, and I'm almost 50 years old, and I will tell you, without without a doubt, that there are more people who are not addicts, like my brother. Brother, I love you, man, but you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry. But I got something to say connected to that. I have surely 100%, 100% sure, without a doubt, that more people, those who say, I've never drank, those who say, I've never done drugs, like my fucking aunt, who's in more drugs than you can even imagine. I've never done this, whatever. They want to be the good ones, right? By saying you're the bad one. Now, those people are the ones that you shouldn't fucking trust. From my own personal experience, those are the worst kind. And I'm not talking to people that are trying to help you and push you off the road and off the bad road that you're on. I mean, they try to push you onto the good side of life, right? They try to push you to stop drinking. They try to push you to stop. I'm talking about like a someone who truly cares about it. I'm talking about people that are criticizing you and telling you that you're a piece of shit because you're an addict, and they just throw you away. That's what kind of person my brother is, and I've never even known him to be that kind of person. I suspected it, but I didn't really know until last few years or so. Um, there's way more people out there who are total pieces of shit who are criticizing you for being an addict, and those are the fucking worst ones. I'm telling you, they are far the worst ones. And so to back up a little, I was talking about how I used to go visit my brother, right? Who was a clean, never done drugs, never done alcohol, none of that. Sports all the way, weights, lifting, fucking, you know. Um, to seeing me, judging me that one day when I came to visit him, and I just came to visit him purely out because I missed him. I went to visit my brother because I fucking missed him as my brother. Okay, like, hey brother, how you doing? Give me a hug. I haven't seen you in like 6 months to a year. I'm your younger brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm here to see you. Okay, like you. He didn't give a fuck to come and visit me. I'm like, hey, I'm I'm coming to visit you. And he judged me from that day one, man. I was always judged by him. Oh, you drank my six pack of my beer. You're an alcoholic. You don't deserve to be in a circle. You're not in the circle of a rich part of the family. You see what I'm saying? Because on my dad's side, I'm not going to mention anybody's names. I'm not going to be mean or rude. But I know what it means when when a family when people say a family needs to stay together because that's when the family is the strongest, right? Whether you're just is it just your kids and your wife and your and you, right? I'm talking more broad, like first cousins, second cousins, that kind of stuff, right? And these are some of the meanest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. I used to go visit him when I was younger, and we used to get along real well. And I don't know if I can say if I regret calling my cousins my sisters, because that's how we say it from where I come from. You call your cousins sisters, my brothers and sisters. You don't say cousins, you say sister, brother, and sister. You know? And then those same people have multiple times in my life when I was going through hardest have shown me fucking fingers. You know, told me, you know what? Fuck you. We don't care if you drop dead. We don't care if you overdose. We don't care if you are depressed. We don't care if you have panic attacks, or you don't care about your condition or what you've been through. Those are the kind of family that don't have anymore. I should, but I don't. They're still around. I just don't call them family anymore. I don't think if I can. I don't think my conscience allows me to call those people my family who have fucking showed me a finger when I need them the most. But going back to, you see, I drank beer then, and I tell you, like, probably my best years of my life, although this was all because of the war has kind of, I'd say war definitely fucked everything up for me. You know, I would have probably had a life just like anybody else. And I come, if you want to talk about the what kind of family do I come from? Were we rich? Were we poor? Were we in the middle? Well, I would say for those days in '90s, and for what we had, my dad being an engineer, my mom was an accountant. Yeah, we were upper middle class, right? What's considered United States middle class. We were like a middle class, right? Uh, yeah, we were middle class, and I didn't care. I never asked my father for extra dime. I've never asked my mother for anything extra because I didn't had need to. My childhood was really good up until the war, and then everything just went to shit. Like when the war started, that's when my life has changed on that day and that month and that year, and ever since then, I just feel like I cannot get back on track. Like it's that bad. I just don't. I feel like if you guys have something you want to say, comment. If you want to get it off your chest, go ahead. I don't care. I don't really. I don't judge. If you're welcome to say whatever you want, and I know you got something that bothers you. Everybody's got something that bothers them. You know, if you got something you get it off, get it off your chest. Go ahead, man. I'll talk to you about it. You know, I think that's the best way. If you that is the most. I think those are the most, in my experience, the failures of every family out there. Whether you're poor or rich doesn't matter. The failures, in my mind, of every family is miscommunication. That's just what I think. Miscommunication. And in my family, there's not much communication at all. And thankfully, thank God, we're still hanging in there. But I always thought that without communication, there's no family, there's no future, there's no business, there's no anything really. Communication is number one whether is it for your own good, your own success, for your family, for your own business, whatever. And you have to have a really good support around you in your life in general. You got to have a good support, like a family that knows their rules, that has their rules and ground. Like I've always been a person. I've always said rules in life up until I had no more rules, and that's when everything started to go to shit, you know. And that's when the heartbeat kind of stops and goes slower and slower and so on. But never judge anybody who decides one day they're gonna have a beer and then turn into an addict. I'm telling you, you never know what's gonna happen to you tomorrow, day after. It doesn't fucking matter. Um, but and the reason you see, I started this show and I call it a just another conversation, and I started off with politics, and I'm thinking, well, politics really isn't my thing, man. You know, I'm a writer, I'm a poet, a musician. That's what I do, right? I think the politics are extremely boring and terrible, so therefore I'm gonna stop doing politics. I might talk about it from time to time, but I'm not gonna go and put videos out about fucking politics because it just seems like it's just the same thing over and over and over again. It's just like Trump, 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 Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that. That's just boring, man. Like I don't give a shit what Trump does anymore. I don't care what our government does. Like every day, just Trump this, Biden this. Who gives a crap about? I don't want to. I just don't want to do politics anymore. I would I would rather sit here every night and talk about issues and problems and even talk about my own life. I don't care. Just not politics. I'm done with politics. Although they are affecting my life in a lot of ways. I might talk about it now and then, but it's not going to be like just politics like it was. But this is just another conversation, and that's what the show is called, and that's what it's going to be. It's going to be just another conversation. I will talk every day, maybe not every day, maybe every other day. It depends how I feel. But I'll be out here trying to make videos. You guys can join me in the comments. You can ask questions. You can say hi, whatever. I'm open book when it comes to having conversation online like this. And if you want to tell me a story, who you are, where you're from, whatever, that's all fine with me. If you want to tell me your problem, I'll give you advice the best that I can. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychiatrist, although I feel like sometimes I could be. So I just want to say I will probably be back tomorrow. I'm not sure what time, but I will talk about other problems of life tomorrow. So if any of you guys want to join, hit the subscribe button. Go ahead if you like the show, and you know what? If you got something you want to get off your chest, go ahead, comment, say whatever, and we can talk about it in the next episode. And for now, I would have to say thank you guys. I've seen some of you have commented. Thank you so much, Jonathan and Money, and thank you, Stanley Knife. Uh, yeah, and thank you, Doctor 23. Thanks, guys. Was I mething? That's funny. Anyways, thank you, folks, for listening. I'm your host, Mr. Unspeakable. Until next episode, ciao.